in terms of other common challenges that athletes might face compared to the general population, whether related to mental health, related to their psychology, what are some of the ones that you're seeing as pretty prevalent?
So it's not a psychiatric diagnosis, but it's a very common thing is burnout. And kind of athletes work real hard for a real long time. And the risk of burnout is just super high.
How would you define burnout? Maybe more, not specifically medically as a diagnosis, because you said it doesn't necessarily exist, but what are your characteristics of burnout?
Probably number one is losing the love for your sport and not wanting to kind of go out there and do the thing that you've worked so hard to do. And sort of taking shortcuts and kind of losing focus and steam in your sport, I think would probably be number one.
And what do you think are the main contributors to that? Is it overwork? Is it your body feeling run down? Is it the constant strain or outside pressure from coaches or fans, or is it all of these things?
I mean, as you were saying, each of those individual things, it feels like they're all one and the same, which is just like, I think a lot of athletes are perfectionists and kind of chasing that perfection can be tiring because no one's ever gotten there. And there's never been a perfect performance. You know, maybe gymnastics has had one,
Or
but like
darts maybe.
or darts. But yeah, short of that, like we're still waiting on the perfect round of golf and we're going to be waiting for it forever. Right. And so I think that chase, and it's sort of like kind of burning the candle at both ends, and it gets exhausting.
For some athletes, I would think it's just time to hang it up once you get to that point. For others, have you seen anything that helped them recharge, get past that burnout? Is there a psychological shift? Is there a behavioral shift? What are the things that help people to navigate if they're feeling burnout?
I hope the hanging it up is like the last thing. And because I think that burnout probably happens, maybe not capital B burnout, but lowercase b burnout probably happens often. And people just need a reset. And whether that's taking a few weeks off, or going on vacation, or getting a good night's sleep, or not practicing for a day. Maybe just not practicing, even though you've been, 6-7 days a week for 6 months. Just take a breath, right? Because rest is really important. Not different than sleep, but just kind of, we know how muscles build. Muscles require breaking and then rebuilding stronger. But if there's not that time of rest, they can't rebuild stronger. And like, I see us as kind of muscles that need to work hard, rest. And if we don't allow ourselves to rest, we don't actually get stronger.
So I think rest, huge one. If I'm thinking about burnout, for example, in the workplace, and this might be more relevant for a coach who's managing athletes that have burnout, some of the major things are lack of autonomy. Some of the other ones are lack of seeing an impact in what you're doing.
Purpose.
Yeah. Some of them are related to, for example, compensation, or feeling like you're not rewarded for the work that you're putting in, which could also be related to purpose. How do those or things like that relate to this burnout equation for maybe the athlete in particular?
I think athletes often are seen as simply an athlete, a basketball player, a golfer, and like you are that sport and that sport is you. And I think that hyper focus on you not being a well-rounded person is probably all of these things that we're talking about is sort of that's I think the main culprit. But if we can kind of see ourselves as still part of a family, part of a community, and looking at something bigger than ourselves, having purpose. And usually to me, having purpose means doing something bigger than just something for yourself. And I think that the more that you're able to see the impact you have on others, the less likely that you will be to burn out, because you're not just burning out for yourself, you're burning out for everybody that is rooting you on and kind of seeing themselves in you.
I talked recently with Dave Durante about his experience with burnout, and something that he said really helped him was hobbies. He got into art. He got really into wine, not as a necessarily like a drinker, but as a student of wine. Where do hobbies fit into all of this?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think again, it's just another facet, because the more that you are a whole person as opposed to just your specific sport, I think you're going to just be more well-rounded. You're going to kind of put time into things, because if you're thinking about your sport all the time, if you're playing your sport, if you're dreaming about your sport, that's too one tracked. And so, yeah, hobbies are another really great way of kind of having that, again, bigger picture.